Hi everybody, this is Christine from Stylharmony.com, and today I would like to show you how to make very fun and easy rings with very few materials. Let me show you this better. And this is a request by Carolina Mendez Hernandez, who saw this video on my YouTube channel, but it was in French. And of course she said, well, I don't understand French, so could you at least put some subtitles? And I said, okay, I'm not going to do that. It's nicer, I think, if I just make a video and just translate it directly. I think it's nicer. So here are the rings I made. Very, very simple, and I just love the look of it. This one is almost like a candy. You could eat this one. I love it. It's very shiny. So there's one. There's another one here. This one is finished, but this one is not finished yet. Excuse me, I've got a new camera, so I need to get used to it because I'm doing it upside down. So this one is also very shiny, and it's not using exactly the same beads. You've got this one as well, and of course you can mix your colors. I hope you can get this one because it's quite dark. It's got some black with other colors, and it can be purple, it can be a little bit pink and green. I love this one. Let me try to put it a little bit more under. Can you see this better? Let's see. I love it. This one is another style. I tried to put some blue on the outside and smaller beads here what in the inside, and this one is this big, and I'm gonna call this one done. I'm just going to put a last coat of varnish on it just to secure it. And I also have this one. Very nice too. Very shiny. And honestly, the beads I use are very not expensive. They're not glass, they're acrylic beads. And they were given to me by a lot of friends that had them and didn't know what to do with them. So I have a whole bunch, and I don't usually make my own necklaces with beads like this. Very tiny beads. So I decided to do something much easier with it. So what you will need for making all this is, of course, some ring findings, and I've got different sizes, different shapes. Round one here and a square around here. Can you see this? Yes. And I like this shape too. It's this one. This one is this one. And it's not very important on the color, just use what you want. You can use some copper one or more vintage look. But one thing I think is very convenient is to buy some rings that are self-adjustable. It will go to everybody. You just need to open it or close it to fit your finger. That's something very neat. It's for you if you want to do some rings for your friends or to sell on fairs for Christmas. When I was in France, I was making these rings, and I used to sell them on fairs during Christmas or Valentine's Day, and it works very well because honestly it's very sturdy. This one, which is totally finished, I mean, I'm gonna honestly, it's not going to fall apart. It's like this now. It's dry, totally dry, and it's not going to move at all. It's not going to fall apart. That's very important. And the second thing is important on these rings is that you use a ring that has a little raised edge. This is important to have a raised edge because when you're going to put your glue in here or your varnish and then going to put your beads, it's not going to fall apart. Because if it's straight, if there's nothing to stop the beads, they are going to fall. Ooh, where is it? It's here. Okay. Then you're going to need, of course, some beads. So you can use any kind of beads. These are long beads. These are a little shorter. You can use round beads, any kind of beads, bicone beads as well. You're going to need a brush. I'm using this type of brush. It's a kid's brush. Nothing fancy. You're going to dip it into glue or varnish, so you don't need a very fancy paintbrush. And a varnish. So you can use different types of varnish. The ones I made here, since I'm now living in Panama, I moved to Panama 3 months ago, a little bit more now. I used Modge Podge because I can find this very easily here. It's a glossy Modge Podge, and since my beads are very glossy, very shiny, I didn't want to use a matte finish because they were going to go matte, and I don't really like that for jewelry. This is good, but it has one bad thing on it. It's that it's white in the beginning. The most important thing, whatever product you use, is that it must dry clear, totally clear, not opaque, clear, because you won't be able to see your beads any longer. But this one is maybe a little harder to work with because it's white in the beginning when it's still wet. So if you have another kind of varnish, and for example, this is the one I used to, let me go backwards. This is the one I used to use when I was in France. This is a resin varnish. It's not, it's a one coat, you know, it's not the resin that you need part A and part B and mix them together. No, this is just a clear varnish, like any kind of varnish. It's clear already, so much easier to use, and it dries so hard. It dries almost like glass. And normally this is meant to use in your house or outside. You can also use this on boats because it's waterproof, totally waterproofed. It's also good against UVs, etc. So if you have this kind of thing home, and normally you buy this at your hardware store, it'll be, I think, much better than using your Modge Podge. The only thing is that it at least come in this kind of container. So what I used to do is put a little bit of this into a smaller container, any jar, leftover jar you have home, glass, not plastic. I would recommend more glass. And you put a little bit in it, so if it needs to dry on you, it will dry in a little container and not in here. Although it flows up very well. And also, it's not water soluble. It's going to be you won't be able to wash your paintbrush with water. It's with acetone. At least for this brand, it can be mineral spirits. So let's get started. I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry. I'm going to do a little close up again, just to make sure that you see very well what I'm doing. And I'm going to use one of my rings and this color. I'm going to use a red one because I like red, and I'm going to dip my brush into the Modge Podge and put it right here directly in the ring. See? Maybe a little close up again, a little bit more. Okay, so do you see that? I didn't totally fill my ring, but I put enough so when I'm going to put my beads in here, they're going to stick to it. And now I'm going to put my beads. If you don't have this kind of container, use a little spoon, a plastic spoon. That will be also great. It'll be much faster than putting your beads one by one. And that's it. You can press a little bit. And if there's a little bit of glue coming out, there's none here, but you just wipe it off with your finger. Have always a little napkin handy, tissue paper, something next to you, and that's it. And right now, don't shake it. Don't try to put the excess away right now because everything's gonna fall. So just leave it like this. Oh, and a little hint for you. To make my my ring stand, let's go backwards a little bit here. Oh, zoom out, zoom out. Woo, sorry. I use this nail polish, and I use the lid to hold my ring, and I can put it here later on, and it's gonna stay like this. It's not gonna move, and because it's straight, it's not gonna fall apart, and it's much easier. Before, I was using this kind of thing here, you know, a little jar with some stones in it, but see, it's not good. It doesn't stay flat. This is perfect, or you can use a marker or anything else if you want, but I found out that this was good. So once your first layer is done, I'm going to zoom in again, sorry about that. So once this one, the first layer is done, just leave it aside and let it dry. And how long is it going to dry? That's a good question. Depending on the product you're using, it can be half an hour to maybe 2 days if it's very hot or very wet. it depends. You need to play with it, and depending on the product also is going to make a big difference. If you're using a kind of a resin, but also, once again, this resin is not a two-part, it's a one-part resin. It's going to dry very quickly. And with Modge Podge, the good thing is that even if it's not totally dry, after an hour or maybe two, you will be able to work your ring. You will be able, I'm not going to do it on this one, but I'm going to do it on this one, even though it's not going to do it. But because the Modge Podge is going to take a little time to dry, you will be able at a certain point to come back, and your ring is going to be moldable. You will be able to squish the parts like this if something is going on and you don't like it, and put it back in shape. So you will be able to press it really hard like this and shape it again. That's the advantage of Modge Podge. So once your first layer is done, I'm going to use this one. I'm going to zoom back out because it's a bit, oh gosh, it's not easy. It's going so fast. Here, I'm going to put my Modge Podge again on this layer. I'm going to see if, yeah, here. And I try to press a little bit. There's one that came off. And I'm trying to put my Modge Podge into the crease and crevices so it goes everywhere, and it's going to see a little bit more my layer that's underneath. And I can go on the edges like this. That's good enough. Everywhere. And then I'm going to go back here and put a second layer of beads and just play a little bit with it. If some came here, a little bit on the end, on the edge, I can take them away, play with it a little bit, take the excess off. Here you see there's a little bit on the side, so I'm just going to take it off like this. And my second layer is done. The excess will fall afterwards when my resin or my varnish will be dry. I could tap it off and everything will come out. Sorry, I put a little bit of Modge Podge here. And you keep going like this until you've got the depth of your ring as you want. So you can go very high if you want, or you could, oops, you see, you could stop here. I can put some more on the side if I want to with my fingers or with some tweezers, so I can fill the gaps. And I wouldn't go much further now because you won't be able, or it will be difficult to do straight in one shot doing this height by putting more and more and more and more, because by the weight, even if it's not that heavy, it might fall apart. So just do one layer after another, and it's so easy, honestly. And I think the look of it is just great. And you just keep on doing this. I'm going to put it back here, and I'm going to put this here. And you do this for all your rings. And here I use beads that are much bigger, so it's exactly the same process. There are some rounds here, some round beads, and some bicone beads. It's exactly the same process. It's getting a bit more difficult when you start having a pattern like this one, because you need to put all your big here around and smaller inside, or because the color, it's just a little bit more difficult, but it's not that difficult, honestly. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So this is the end of this tutorial. Once again, this is a tutorial how to do rings very easily, but you can use the colors you want, you can use the varnish you want. It's just to tell you what I used and it worked, but if you have something else, give it a try, play with it, don't be afraid, especially if your beads are not expensive. Maybe try it with some very cheap beads, but these are not expensive. I've got all these different colors that people gave me and I didn't use them all yet, and I will give it a try because I like these bicones. I don't have them right now. I didn't make anything with it, but that's nice. This is the one I used for this one, and normally this was supposed to be for making a necklace, but I don't have the strength and to bead everything, and if you want to do it, just try it. So I hope you liked this video. I hope it was interesting, and if you have any questions or any comments, please leave them below and I will answer you as soon as possible. And please give me some thumbs up if you like the video, and subscribe to my channel. There will be much more coming up, not only in jewelry but also in card making and some little tricks and things to do in crafting, because I love that. So now I'm going to say goodbye, and I hope to see you very soon. Bye bye, and enjoy your day. Bye.